Welcome to this tank review of the Mighty Mouse, Tier 10 German heavy tank. And this is a heavy tank. It's gigantic. It's, yeah, it's simply a beast. It has very good armor, and this comes at a price of terrible mobility and a mediocre gun. The armor is 200 millimeters at the front of the hull, 185 millimeters at the side, and 160 at the back. The turret is 240 millimeters at the front and 210 at the sides and rear. Looking at this armor inspector, we can see that if an IS-7 is shooting at it with regular armor piercing, it's gonna have a very tough time penetrating it when the mouse is angled, like this. This is roughly a 30 degree angle, maybe 35-degree angle, and that's pretty much the angle you want to be looking at. I would say anywhere between 30 and 45 degrees, you're going to be in a very strong position. 45 might even be a bit too much. If we load some APCR, premium ammunition, you can see that near the mud flaps there's becomes an additional hit zone where you can go through, and at the sides it's of course flat on. It's very flat, so you can penetrate it pretty much from everywhere. With regular AP on the IS-7 gun, you have a hard time at the back as well. It's 160 millimeters, but effective when angled. It's going to be 200, 220, 230, depending on the angle. Looking at it through the gun of the Jagdpanzer E100, which has some of the highest penetration in the game at 299, you can see that frontally at 100 meters you can go through pretty much everywhere. I would never recommend you to shoot at the upper part of the hull, since that is in general the strongest part of the armor. Go for the cheeks of at the turret or between the two mud flaps at the front. I can see angled like this, even a Jagdpanzer E100 has almost nowhere where he can penetrate the mouse, and this is definitely the strength of the mouse. So the gun can depress at 8 degrees all the way around. It can also elevate to 24 degrees, which is actually very nice. So that means that in close quarters combat, where this tank belongs, you have the ability, if someone's above you, to shoot up at them. That's not normal for all tanks. So let's get into some gameplay after we've just made a quick size comparison of the mouse and the E100. Look how big it is. It's gigantic. This tank is going to be the biggest tank in the game until Wargaming release the Japanese heavy tanks, which are even bigger. Simply massive. So it's big. The gun is the same gun as the stock E100 gun, basically the same gun as the E75 gun, the same gun as the Jag Panther II Ferdinand stock Jag Tiger gun. Has 246 millimeters of penetration for the regular AP rounds and 311 for the APCR. Rate of fire is 4.14 rounds a minute, which is not great. The DPM is slightly above 2000, which is almost as good as the Keni Otsu that I did a review of the other day. Anyway, we're on Port Bay. I see that the enemy have 3 top tier very fast tanks, so I think it's best to go right. I ask my team to follow me. We have ST1, who is in disagreement with me. I think he would like to go hold down in the city, maybe side scrape, but they do have a lot of medium tanks, fast tanks in general, so we need to stop them advancing behind us, and that's why I recommend to the team that we go this way. As you can see, I'm going at full speed now. The mouse is not a fast tank. The mouse is not suited to make huge amounts of damage. That's not what it's built for. It's there to soak up the shots for the from the enemies. Make sure that the massive health pool, 2,500, highest in the game, is set to good use by enabling your team to not take damage. And that's pretty much, in my opinion, that's the most important role of the mouse in a team. That is to make sure that you take the shots, push when needs to be pushed, and make sure that you keep your team alive around you. So we're pushing through here. We don't see that despite them having two top tier medium tanks, they haven't decided to go this way, so that's a bit surprising. So our E100 spots a T44, and he's going to be very sorry in a second that he decided to sit there, because he gets tracked, and I go in and take a quick and easy kill. So I'm a bit worried here about where the enemies are. They do have the object, which is very, very good. Very fast tank destroyer, great troll frontal armor, and it looks like they've actually gone all the way around. So they probably went through the port and then came up behind us. So we're gonna simply reverse. I know that my rear hull turret armor is exceptionally good, so I can allow myself to do this. We have the object cresting the ridge. Am I gonna get a shot? Yes, I do. And he gets decimated. But that's actually pretty much what happens to him through the rest of the game. He's just gonna sit there now. I see there's 103, Pershing, the FV, 62 still on my right. Try to angle here, do a bit of side scraping. I don't want to advance before I know that we can clean them up. So I see that the E100 is pushing. 62 still up there. The E100 is pushing around to see if he can make a shot on the 62. Luckily he does. I try to take a shot at the M103, but unfortunately I shoot directly into the turret, or into the barrel of the E100, which was quite unfortunate. Because as I said earlier, this tank does not have great DPM. It really it suffers when it has to do huge amounts of damage. It can do it, but it needs a lot of time to do so. So that's probably why you rarely see mouses being the top performers in the teams. That's simply not what they're there for. They're there to soak up the damage, use their great armor to bounce for your teammates, allow them to get in and make the shots. Of course, you should never neglect taking shots. I can feel pretty confident now that the E100 is going to clean up. So I'm going to try to push around and intercept the 103, the object, and the FV. Unfortunately, as I said in Armor Inspector, the the armor profile, or the mobility of this tank is very bad, and you really have to make sure that you clean up each area. So uh, because if you don't manage to kill off the enemies when you have the opportunity, they can simply run away. So the 103, he's gotten around me. If this was on hard terrain, he would actually have the ability to almost circle me, and that's that just shows how bad the mobility of this tank is. And I can see now that we don't have much time left. There's only the object left. I recommend to my team that we go cap. There's no reason for us to hunt down a tank that can go 18 kilometers faster than the E100, 28 kilometers faster than me, and 13 kilometers faster than the M103. So I say we go cap. Uh, my plan when doing this is actually to get into the cap circle, hope that he's gonna come and try to reset, load an HE shell because I know he was left on very low hit points, and simply just put one into him. Whilst I'm doing that, I also know that the M103, he was the first on our team in the cap circle. So I wanna make sure that if he does come out for the kill shot, and if I should miss him, I wanna make sure that I cover the 103 as good as I can. So luckily he goes a bit forward, so I don't have to push him. I simply decide to sit here, push a bit forward, and look back that way. They're both looking the other way, so I can allow myself just to look this way and cover that side. Um, and as you could see here, I'm pretty much covering the entirety of the M103. He can barely be seen by the object, and this means that I'm willing to take the shot if the object comes because I know I have the lowest amount of capture points. But as you might have suspected, he's not gonna show up, and we cap it out. And that's something you should never do. You should never be afraid to cap the enemy. It's uh, it's it's better to take the win by capping than by chasing someone and hoping you find them and only getting a draw. So it was a decent game for me. Normally when I play my mouse, I don't do like huge amounts of damage. I think I'm averaging 2,800, something like that. So this was basically a medium game. Um, So next up is Oasis Palms, and again I can see that the enemies, they have two top tier medium tanks. So medium tanks, they typically go to the left from where I'm looking now. Heavy tanks go straight ahead or through the city. Um, and I really don't want to get stuck in a desert with two top tier medium tanks and some other pretty mobile enemies. That would not be a good situation for me. So I decide to push this way. I can see that we have some mediums coming. The 44, he looked like he was going to rush to the desert. I'm telling him to be careful because he uh, he needs to be aware that he's going to run into most of the enemy team if they go that way. If I am in a team where I'm in a medium tank and we are outgunned by the enemy medium tanks, I usually like to stick near the valley when I'm driving. I would always go to the desert, but I would stick near the valley. That gives me the opportunity to to drop down into the valley if I get overrun. It also gives me the opportunity to simply get in one of the bushes that's near the valley and make sure that I get the spots and hopefully that my teammates can shoot them. So I'm trying to look for some shots. I see the E100. I can go through the front of his turret, but unfortunately I had a low penetration roll there and I didn't manage to get through it. So the penetration is actually calculated in the same way as the damage, which means that if you if you it it rolls between the outer values. So that means that if you don't if if you don't get a high roll when shooting with only 311 millimeters of penetration, you can have a tough time. So I get shot pretty big time there from the what must have been the T95. So I decide I gotta push down. I gotta get in a position where I can cover myself, and I decide that the building straight ahead is the spot to do that. I know that on the left there are two enemies. There's also a E75, and I actually don't quite understand why I bounced that shot, because his turret is not very strong, especially not when I'm loading premium ammunition. So, but I see the E75. He's kind of tunnel visioning. I decide, okay, let's give him some love. I actually do a bit of a mistake here. I'm not angling out like I should. So he goes through my mud flaps, but he doesn't turn, so I could get a shot on his side. So now I push all the way into the building, so he can't see my mud flaps. I angle my turret. I should probably be angling it even more. I'm just hoping that he's gonna bounce and that I get one more shot into him. There he is. He takes the shot, damages my gun. I managed to take a clutch shot into him and put him down to very low health. Now the 44 that I asked to be careful before, he's fighting another 44 with significantly more hit points than himself. So I wanna help him. I wanna make sure that he doesn't die because I need him to cover against the E50M. So I land a pretty good shot on him there, enabling the 44 to take him out very simply. Now I know there's still an E100, there's a T62, there's a T95, there's an E75 left on the enemy team, so I really need to be careful. In regards to how I progress. So I decide now that the best thing to do for me is probably to go near the cap, try to get into a side scraping position there, make sure they can't shoot me, and try to gather some capture points to put pressure on them and hopefully have them make some mistakes. So we see the E100 coming up here. I have no problems going through his mud flaps, so I simply put one in, track him, make sure he sits there. Whilst doing so, I'm trying to get into a decent angling position, angling my turret, reload, and put another one into his tracks, and he bounces off me. So that's just, he was shooting regular AP ammunition there. With his regular AP ammunition, he's gonna have a very, very hard time penetrating me. Fortunately, my team, they are suffering big time. And the E75, he's just shooting HE on me, so I'm in a bit of a tricky situation now. I have the 62 in front of me, the E75 on the ridge, and I'm wondering where the T95 is. So he's gonna pop up in a moment, but until then, let's just see what happens. So I reload just a second too late to kill the 62. I think if I would have been able to kill the 62 there, that would have changed the dynamics of the game. And I see now that the E75, he's still up there, still trying to take me out. And even worse than that, in a second the T95 is gonna appear from my right. So I can't take a shell from the T95. I need to move forward into the valley and hopefully be able to do something from there. But against three enemies, 2 tier 9s, 1 tier 10, it's gonna be very difficult. The Centurion, he couldn't really do much. It would have been great if he had killed the 62, and now it's just gonna be them playing cat and mouse with me, because I don't have the mobility to get away from here. If I had just a decent amount of mobility, I would have rushed up, tried to get up to the E75, maybe make a shot on him, try to go for the shot on the 95, but I only track him and he shoots me and kills me. So, what did this game show? It showed the lack of mobility. I couldn't get where I needed to go, and that's very much the biggest deficit of the mouse, because the armor is great, the gun is okay, but the mobility is simply painful. So if you're the last man standing on your team, you're gonna have a very tough time winning. Either because the enemy can simply outrun you, or because they can just hide. You're never gonna catch them. So this is a pretty decent matchup. I see the enemy have two tier 9 TDs with great damage output, so I think that I'm not gonna go all the way to the left, and I'm not gonna go too close to the houses either. I'm gonna stay near the cap area, try to use my great all-round armor to bounce the lower tier enemies, and hopefully have the possibility to engage the top tier mouse. Now E50, I don't know what he's doing here. Oh, traffic accident. Okay. So I'm gonna push right here, see what happens. Oh, I spot the enemy mouse. Load an APCR so I can go through the cheeks and shoot. It looks like it landed, but no damage. So I guess that's just what happens in this tank. So now I'm angling as much as I feel that I can do right now, and I want to get rid of this mouse. I go for another shot. It should have gone, or according to my vision, it landed where it should, but no damage done, so we'll try again. Anyway, still angling, trying to make him bounce off me. I don't know if he's shooting premium, but I feel right now that I need to do this because I can see that my team is suffering. The E50M, he went down, and I'm not sure, but I don't think he did any damage whatsoever, and that's gonna be a bit challenging later on when the enemies do come. So finally, someone manages to damage me, but it's only my tracks. Go for the mud flaps. I change to the turret, but unfortunately he moves a bit too far forward and I bounce. So the enemy mouse is pretty much dead. Now I go for the mud flaps, which is actually a weak spot because you also have the fuel tanks there, and you really have a good chance of penetrating him. It's probably the next to the turret cheeks. It's the weakest part of the mouse's armor. So I block the VK a bit. He's got strong armor, so he should be able to at least hold his own against the pattern. And I see that the 62 has come up behind me, so I need to get rid of him because I need that Jagdtiger to help me later on. And he's having okay time. I managed to get a pretty easy kill. So far we haven't done anything spectacular. Our team has unfortunately not done great either, so they're in a bit of a pickle. I decide to push forward, which is actually, in retrospect, it's not a good idea because right now I'm exposing myself to attack from four different sides. I need to get back to the cap area, and from there I simply need to get into some defensive side scraping positions, where I have the option to decide how quickly the enemies are allowed to attack me. So I realize that, and then I move backward. Oh, I make a bit of a misplay there against the 54. Should have hit his tracks. That would have been great to put him down there. So I'm just gonna try to be a bit careful of what's going on here. I'm hoping that the Jagdtiger can make a kill. So far I'm the only one on my team making any kills. But Jagdtiger, he's gonna get into a tricky situation. So I have a nice shot here on the 54. That was actually standard ammunition from the T-54. He penetrated me without any problems actually, even though my tank was angled slightly. Our VK is in a bit of trouble, and I can see that he's gone down. So I need to stop this this Jagdtiger. So where I am now, I'm concealing my frontal weak spot, trying to angle my turret, and I get a bounce, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So I see the machine gun port on the Jagdtiger, go for a shot, quickly angle my turret again, and I get another bounce. Meanwhile, our Jagdtiger is dead, and I need to finish this one off, so I put a premium shell right through his upper superstructure. So I know there's a Jagdtiger, there's a Pershing, and there's the Patton. I haven't seen the Pershing all game. I know the Jagdtiger, he's got most of his health left, and the Patton, he's a one-shot. So I decided to pull a bit back. I wanna keep the enemies at a distance because my gun it's pretty accurate. And right now I can actually side scrape here. I should be angling my turret more than I am, but I'm a bit worried that the Patton, he's gonna try to flank me. In hindsight, I should have attacked the Patton here, taken a shot from the Jagdtiger, but I was a bit concerned as to where the Pershing was. Even though the Pershing's gonna have a very hard time penetrating me, I decided to go for another shot in the Jagdtiger, and that enables the Patton to get around me. I just don't have the time to reload, and I don't have the mobility to intercept him. So I take a pretty nasty shot there from the pattern. I can see the time's running out, and I really want to get these two last kills so I can get the raisonné, also the color banners. But he's gonna stay there, and I'm pulling back because the Pershing has arrived. Now the Pershing, he needs me pretty much flush on from the back, or flush on from the side to be able to penetrate my tank. And he doesn't have that except for right there where I was actually giving him the back of my turret. So I decide, okay, I need to stop this Pershing from doing damage to me. I take a shot. I was actually going for the tracking shot there, but that was poorly aimed. Here comes the pattern around. He's gonna take a shot, bounces. So you can really see the armor profile in this replay. You can see how many bounces I've landed. I think I bounced the Jagdtiger, the first Jagdtiger, I bounced him twice. Then I bounced the other Jagdtiger at least once. I bounced this pattern many times, and time runs out. So this was a very good game, but again, it showcased the weakness of the mouse. You just don't have the DPM, or you don't have the maneuverability to get to where you need to go and to be able to engage enemies in the end game. And that's very much the downside of the mouse, because it's very much fun to play. But if you really want to play effective mouse, I would recommend platooning with someone who's driving a medium tank, because a medium tank does offer the mobility. It does offer the DPM that the mouse is lacking, while the mouse does have the incredible armor and the ability to simply dominate its enemies that are lower tier. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tank review, and if you did, please feel free to give it a like or drop a question in the comments, and tell me what you think about the mouse. Tell me if you think it's too weak, or if the gun is too bad, or should it be buffed, nerfed. Tell me. Have a nice evening. Bye guys.